Tonight, how confident are you in the honesty of elected officials here in Missouri? You feel good about that? Like, if there weren't any laws forcing them into transparency with the public, where do you think that they'd sit between George Washington and Nixon? Let's discuss. This is Some Guy with a Tie. Hello, fellow Missouri enthusiasts. My name is Joe Zahn, and I read about Missouri politics so you don't have to. Just trying to provide the unheralded voice of a middle-class cis-white male. Let's start with Governor Mike Parsons, everyone's favorite humble farmer governor who continues to reinforce the fact that, yeah, he's a rich and powerful grandpa who runs the state, but he still needs his grandkids' help to open that darn PDF. Parsons made headlines last year by vowing to criminally prosecute a journalist for reporting a security flaw on a state website that exposed personal information for 100,000 teachers. As a refresher, this guy right-clicked on the page to view the HTML source code. He noticed Social Security numbers for teachers, alerted the education department about the error, waited until the error was fixed, then reported the story on it. Parsons, to his credit, labeled him a hacker, promised prosecution, and asked the Highway Patrol to open an investigation. Well, good news. Last month, they determined that viewing easily available data on a website isn't a crime, even for the corrupt media. And the state database was simply misconfigured. I mean, I guess that's a good thing, that Mike Parsons was only able to metaphorically shoot the messenger, huh? Meanwhile, in the state legislature, the folks in control look to hearken back to a simpler time when kids used to play outside, respect their elders, and little Johnny used to get his mouthy ass slapped by the principal to teach him a lesson. But some legislatures don't see the value in allowing corporal punishment in the state school system and introduced an amendment to outlaw the practice.
So with that being said, I do respect local control, lady, but I also think it's right to have on our books that here in the state of Missouri, that no school district shall use corporal punishment to discipline a student.
We have decided as a state, as the lady knows, she's familiar with the statutes in DSS, she's familiar with children in foster care. We've decided as public policy in our state, those children shouldn't be hit by the adults who are charged with their care. Those same children, when they enter our educational system in the K-12 setting, should receive the same right, not to be hit by the people who are taking care of them.
By your vote of 54 yes and 83 no, you have failed to adopt House Amendment 1 to House Amendment 7.
Ooh, so close. But then something amazing happened.
Simply put, this amendment says no pupil should be subject to corporal punishment procedures outlined in the discipline and corporal punishment policy without a parent or guardian being notified and providing written permission for the corporal punishment. That's it. It's just a simple amendment to cover the parents and to make sure that they are fully aware of the policy.
Representative Rachel Prouty created the amendment on the fly, and guess what? It passed with only one no vote. So congratulations, Representative Prouty, and I know this means a lot to you. You are my favorite rep of the week for making Missouri just a little bit better. Oh man, that permission slip's gonna get lost on the way home, isn't it? Now, for our last stop on the weekly roundup, we're gonna begin with Missouri State Rep Brian Seitz. This former car wash manager and Baptist minister, do we think he had any specials? You know, like cleanse your car and your soul? Sorry, I am a dad. Anyway, he's attempting to make felons of anyone who would assist a Missouri woman in getting medicine or devices for an abortion. This bill would also severely punish anyone who helps a woman obtain an illegal abortion for ectopic pregnancies. These pregnancies aren't viable, ever, and they always threaten the life of a mother. But if you were expecting any significant amount of research before creating legislation that would have a sweeping effect on Missouri women's health, you might be disappointed.
Not anywhere in your bill, but it does, you stated that women can get treatment for an ectopic pregnancy.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know how the treatment for ectopic pregnancies work?
No, I do not.
Now, despite the fact that the drugs used to end ectopic pregnancies would under his bill be illegal, he says he never meant to ban the termination of ectopic pregnancies, and he's promising to clarify that by amending his bill. Which Listen, you'd like to think that it's due to some moral epiphany on the subject, but it really kind of has the feeling of, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. Now, I know there's a lot of passion around this issue, but my hope is that everyone is at least aware of just how far this bill goes in other areas. And speaking of kids, there's no exception for underage pregnancies, or victims of rape, or incest. So if you help, say, a 14-year-old who's been a victim of a rape by a family member to get an abortion, if it's after 8 weeks, you could go to jail for life. That's right. This bill increases the penalty for assisting someone with an abortion to up to 10 to 30 years to life. And by the way, they think maybe that's not enough.
Do you know the range of punishment for a Class A felony?
No, I do not.
It's a minimum of 10 years in prison to a maximum of 30 years in prison or life. So you're talking severe penalties
It's a
here.
very serious issue. I think that penalty is probably not even strict enough.
And so you'd even go as far as offering the death penalty as a solution?
We'll have to look at that in other legislation.
Seitz said House Bill 2810 is intended to make what they have come to call internet abortions impossible in our state. He said, "What I'm just attempting to do is to stop the importation or the trafficking of these types of drugs to be used in an illegal manner." Oh, is that all? So we found the line. Rape, incest, underage, health risk. Nope, none of these excuses will save you from a potential life in prison. But if death is all but certain, fine, you little scamps. You can have your procedure. And now, for more fun, let's dig in. The saying goes, one of the fundamental principles of democracy is that sunlight is the best disinfectant. Sadly, some in the Missouri government might not agree. That's why I wanted to discuss the Missouri Sunshine Law. So here's the deal. Nearly 50 years ago, this law was adopted to increase transparency in the Missouri government. It includes things like ensuring government records are kept and made available to any citizen who requests it. That's right. Now, just a random hypothetical. Let's say your leaders reward a Texas company with a no-bid contract to provide medical staff. And this company had also earlier received a contract during Trump's administration to build a wall on the southern border. Might seem a little fishy. Well, you could request the email communication around that decision. But the history of our state agencies following sunshine laws is not good. In 2016, State Auditor Nicole Galloway looked into compliance, and results were, well,
you didn't ask for anything outrageous. You asked for a very simple minutes, agenda, and where it was posted. And what did you find out, Auditor Nicole Galloway?
We found that only 30% of our sample was in full compliance with the Sunshine Law, meaning that only 30% of the 300 that we sent letters to responded timely and then provided the information that we requested.
What were some, now you got some that didn't even respond at all, right?
Right. We had about 16% that did not respond at all.
Not great. And it hasn't gotten much better, as more recent reports continue to show a poor rate of compliance. Okay, so not ideal, but if you think that a state agency is illegally withholding records, you can reach out to the Office of State Attorney General Eric Schmidt, who enforces the Sunshine Law. Actually, not so fast. As it currently stands, there is a glaring loophole in the Sunshine Law that allows the State Attorney General to simply dismiss your request. See, when a member of the public files a complaint against a state agency, the AG can assume the role of legal counsel for that agency, thus claiming, as counsel, they now can't release the information, meaning the only recourse for most is a lawsuit. Unless, of course, the AG just simply decides it's in the best interest to enforce the Sunshine request. For example, right now, Schmidt is suing the Rockwood School District because they posted an FBI tip line to allow the public to report threats or harmful behavior made by parents outraged by mask mandates. He believes it's in the best interest that emails related to how that decision was made let the sunshine in. I mean, I could guess why they did it.
No more masks. Keep it calm.
This is illegal.
This is a Hydra virus.
Threats, intimidation, even violence over mask wearing, lessons on race, and more.
So what are the chances an ordinary citizen has to obtain public records? You've got 3/4 of the local government violating the Sunshine Law, an enforcement arm in the AG's office that doesn't enforce, unless of course they want to. Well, Missouri Rep. Bruce DeGroot from Ellisville might have an answer with House Bill 2049. Oh no, it's not the answer you might like. It's get lost, or maybe hand me your credit card. See, this bill proposes some significant changes to the law that may not result in more transparency, but will definitely help keep bureaucrats' desks a bit cleaner. Under this proposed bill, they would create a whole new category of public records called transitory records, or draft records, which will no longer need to be kept or made available to the public. Basically, anything they decide isn't going to be part of the final legislation or policy, or generally is permanent in their view, they don't have to keep. This definition would also change a decision the Missouri Supreme Court made almost 22 years ago, holding that if a public body has a record when the request comes in, they've got to produce it. So you want to know why a dark money group is meeting with your local rep during work hours. If those meetings don't directly result in a permanent record, you're out of luck, my friend. But that's not all, folks. Another change proposed in this bill is an effort to undo a decision from the Supreme Court from last year. This one holds that when a record is created, it must be designated as either open or closed, and that cost associated with the process is not something that can be charged to a person seeking a copy of the record at the time they make the request. So under this new law, you could be charged large attorney fees for a separation process of sorting open records from closed records at the time the request was made. Basically, this creates a significant roadblock for the public in its effort to access public information. This section basically says, sure, we'll hand over the record, but you gotta pay my lawyer $3,000 first. And the problems with HB 2049 do not end there. The bill also would narrow the definition of public businesses substantially. It would make some existing public meetings no longer public, including meetings of subcommittees. It would close generally available inter- and intra-agency memos from public review. It would close home addresses for employees or applicants for appointments based on a broadly written excuse of security, thus masking whether a person being named to a post is even residing in the jurisdiction. It would claim email addresses of citizens in the jurisdiction are not public record, thus hiding how these email addresses are actually being used. These proposed new provisions in the law would make the idea of sunshine in Missouri a joke. Representative DeGroot has gone on record to claim that computers and the iCloud have made it all but impossible for government employees to comply with the Sunshine Law. But anyone who has a basic understanding of how computers work knows that accessing public records is way easier today when a computer search takes minutes. According to DeGroot, though, compliance actually hurts the very citizens the Sunshine Law was intended to protect. Now call me crazy, but I think we should be trying to find ways for our local government to be more transparent, not less. The current Sunshine Law should be strengthened to close the loopholes being abused, not weakened by creating more. So I ask again, how confident are you in the honesty of your elected officials? But what do I know? I'm just some guy in a tie. Bye for now.